Up in R, I think.
Oh, what happened to the little foamy thing?
How have you been? Good. I was just telling Rob. Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Before we begin the meeting, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance followed by a prayer by Councilman Deacon.
O Lord, please grant us knowledge of our duties, wisdom in our decisions, and empathy with those we encounter. We ask this in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. I will now call to order the Monday, November 21st, 2022 City Council meeting. This meeting is also available virtually with a link on the city's website at jeffersoncitymo.gov, along with the phone number to call in. Mrs. Donaldson, roll call, please.
Deacon,
Present.
Fitzwater. I see him online. Hensley,
Present.
Kimna,
Here.
Lester,
Here.
Schreiber,
Present.
Spencer,
Here.
Spicer,
Present.
Ward, here, Wiseman.
Item 3, I'll entertain a motion for adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4, miscellaneous agenda items. We have a couple of very special and important items to recognize, and I would like to call firefighter Joe Swader to the podium at this time. And we have a special recognition for the life-saving proclamation presentation to his mother, Hiroko Swader. Welcome.
Can everybody hear me? Good. Thank you, Madam Mayor, council staff, for allowing us to gather today. I'd like to introduce my sister. Where'd she go? All the way from New York. She got the last flight out of Buffalo. My dad and various friends of the family that are scattered about, and then obviously my brothers in blue and Engine 3 A shift, and we'll get into that. August 29th, lives were changed, a life was saved, bonds between friends were forged deeper. But before we get into that, I want to introduce to you why we're here, my mom. So I have a couple minutes here. I want to describe my mom in one word because I wanted to keep this short, and then I thought about it, and I couldn't do it in one word. So she is loving, and she is a great support. But the three words that came to me immediately were fearless, tenacious, and stoic. That was it. So my mom and dad met in Japan in his military service. They went on a blind date with my dad's best friend named Joel, another handsome man. Soon after, she packed her bags, her belongings, left her family, friends, and life, and headed for America. Her first stop in this long journey was San Francisco, California. Instead of sitting in the terminal or the hotel room awaiting the next leg of her journey, her final destination of New York, she took a short visit around the city to see the sights. Everything was foreign to her, including the people, the busy streets, the menus, the culture as a whole. Unafraid, she went on a short tourist visit without hesitation. She'd rather explore than sit in hesitation. She hopped on the next leg to New York, where she'd start a new life with her husband, a new home, and a new lifestyle. She would face more challenges ahead as she started her life, especially at that time being a 24-year-old Asian woman at the end of the Vietnam War. Mom, you are fearless. She raised my sister and I as a stay-at-home mom, doing all the unrecognizable tasks a stay-at-home mom does, but I believe she loved being home with Naomi and I. Our father worked 60 hours a week, swing shift at General Motors, coming home exhausted, covered in filth, but my mom kept the house in order. Thankfully, Naomi and I were exceptional kids. She balanced various jobs, a pencil factory, a diner, and she was a cafeteria worker. In 1995, however, she decided she had more to offer. She enrolled in college, decided to be an RN. She studied day and night, English being her second language, classes like anatomy, physiology, and medical terminology wouldn't be easy. Statistics show that most people drop out of nursing school typically in the first semester. Not Mom. She pressed on. She graduated, completing this incredible task. As a kid, I remember she would tape her end of semester transcripts on the wall. I saw A's and B's. Pretty cool. I knew as a young kid how hard she worked. The house still clean, food still in the fridge, and the laundry was done. She worked tirelessly as a traveling nurse for the Red Cross, where she retired. And she wanted to conquer her next goal of creating a retirement alongside my father so that they could provide for themselves and enjoy retirement. She took every opportunity to work overtime, and she made those sacrifices to build on her continued future. Mom, you're tenacious. After retiring, Mom and Dad traveled around the world, 20 countries plus, including Germany, Italy, Ireland, Slovenia, Egypt, Slovakia, Japan, Spain, Israel, Latvia, Russia, Lithuania, Switzerland, Finland, and she's visited every national park in America. In 2011, she was faced with another hurdle. She was diagnosed with cancer, and she battled her way out, not once, but twice. She never complained. She was steadfast on medicine, eating healthy, and pressing forward. Cancer did not have a chance. She told me once that her skin was like an orange peel. It was thick and tough. Cancer would not get me. So how can you top all this, you ask? Well, she did. She became an American citizen on September 12, 2014. She recited the Pledge of Allegiance in the courthouse, surrounded by friends and family. Her adventurous, active lifestyle includes many activities: avid bowler, golfer, loves yoga, body pump, hiking with the Runch Nature Hiking Group, who's here with us, riding her bike on the Katy Trail. She's a cook, a quilt maker, enjoys reading and baking with my daughter, Eleanor, when she isn't packed with trips to the theater or lunch dates with friends. 3 months ago, she stated to me that she wanted to overcome her fear of the water. So we spent a day in the pool. She was determined to swim across. Not only did she swim across, she swam 300 yards, kicking with determination. Swimming is now added to that list of activities. So we're gathered here, Mom. She doesn't know until just a few moments ago. On August 29th, my mom was playing bridge with her friends at the West Point Senior Center on West Main Street. She observed her friend from the hiking team suffer a cardiac arrest event. She calmly responded without hesitation to assess the medical emergency. She laid her friend on the floor, went through her muscle memory checklist as a nurse to assess ABCs, and started compressions. As the Heart Association says, early adequate compressions saves lives. And for the firefighters in the room, we know how hard this is to do, but imagine what it's like to have to do it on a friend. She delegated to another bystander in the room to activate EMS and continued compressions. Engine 3 A shift, Jefferson City Fire Department arrived on scene. They took command of the medical emergency after my mom initiated the protocols. Engine 3 applied AED pads, continued with compressions, and got a shockable rhythm, and were able to shock the patient. And then he was rushed to the hospital by ambulance. That afternoon, my mom arrived at my house, pale as a ghost, speechless, and stood in my living room, and I immediately thought that something happened to my dad. She gathered her composure and, visibly upset, explained to me her concern for her friend. I tried to encourage her the best that I could, and I told her she did everything that she possibly could. So today, Mom, why we're here, we are celebrating your life-saving efforts. And the survivor is here sitting next to her. Terry and his wife, Carolyn, have the opportunity to meet my mom for the first time. So today, we celebrate, Mom, your composure, your bravery, your ability to respond and assist a friend in need. And today, Terry, Carolyn, we get to celebrate life. In closing, my mom doesn't seek recognition or award. She responded appropriately. She was the perfect person placed in a horrific situation. Mom, you are stoic. We're proud of you, and you did a good job. Thanks. Appreciate it. I'd like to introduce Representative Dave Griffith, who is here, who is also retired Red Cross, and we thought, how fitting would that be for him to present something to you, Mom?
Being a state representative entails a lot of stuff. One of my favorite things that I get to do is really to recognize extraordinary people like you. And being with the Red Cross and knowing what you did with the Red Cross and knowing what you did in saving a life. I too had a heart attack 3 years ago, and I had compressions done on me. And it is life-changing. And I had a resolution prepared for you. It has a lot of whereas, therefores, and all that kind of stuff. But and I'm not going to read that. I'll let you read it. But I do want you to know that the entire 101st General Assembly is grateful for citizens like you, people that step up. So often in the training that we get in the Red Cross and training that you get as a nurse and the training that we have with our firefighters and our police officers, when everybody else is stepping back, you step forward. Those are the kind of citizens we need. And I'm so happy for you and congratulate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I had no clue tonight. I came in, all the friends were here. I asked. They didn't tell me anything. But can I?
Please.
When I was 44 years old, I was working Brothers Mercy nursing home as a nurse aide, 44 years old. That summer, Kathy Dennison, the supervisor, came from the other floor to cover other supervisor. Never met her before in my life. She came to me, approached me in the hallway and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "What?" And she said, "You shouldn't be here. And you should go to school to become nurse." I laughed because I was 44 years old. English is my second language. All those vocabularies that we use in nursing is so difficult, right? And I laughed, and every day that week, 1 week, she came to me. "Well, did you go and find school? Or did you register?" And on, she bugged me all week. I couldn't stand it. So I said, I'm 44 years old, too old to go back to college. And I think I'm going to go. She said, "Why don't you go and find out community college?" And I went there, and they said, "We're all booked. You have to wait 2 years." Wow. Meantime, why don't you take some of the courses? Has nothing to do with elective courses. So I took them for 2 years. Then I got under nursing. It was hard. It was so hard. And I stayed 2 years, and I finished it when I was 48 years old. I was exhausted. And then I took 1 year off, and I played golf and went back to work at American Red Cross and worked apheresis department. There we collect blood and centrifuge and separate blood for plasma and platelets to give cancer patients or burn patients, all that. I look back that summer when I met the Kathy Dennison, changed all my life. Kathy Dennison pushed me and told me every day, do you know, 6 months later that December, Kathy Dennison passed away with a heart attack. She was 62 years old. And I knew then I have to push and I have to finish this, what she told me to do. That's what I did. That changed all my life. And look, here it is, Terry, today with us. Terry is a bridge club member and also hiker, and he is with us, and I am so happy to see him tonight. I was excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You are an amazing inspiration. And we would like for you to come back up to the podium, and I also have a proclamation that I would like to share, so you're welcome to come back up here, and if you would like to have your husband come up and Joel and Naomi as well to come forward here, and I'll read our proclamation, but you are quite an inspiration. Hearing that story is really amazing, and I know we'll take some pictures, and I know there's other family and friends here as well, and granddaughter up here as well, so welcome everybody. But this is what it's all about, is celebrating people like you that do great things in our community, and this is about celebrating life and how wonderful it is. Of course, it's extra special because having Joel as a firefighter here, and such a great firefighter that we all know Joel and his brothers and sisters in the fire service here to be part of it. So while we all know Joel, now we know where he gets his inspiration from as well. And so we're proud to have that on our fire department because that comes from you. But we're also proud to see what you've done in our community with your nursing and being persistent. You're a great example, and the life-saving efforts as well. And what an honor to have Terry and Carolyn with us as well tonight. So I would like to read the proclamation, and I know Dave has already presented his. But this says, whereas Hiroko Swader, a resident of Jefferson City, was recognized for outstanding emergency medical action on August 29th of 2022, and whereas Hiroko Swader initiated life-saving medical procedures in which clear thinking, fast action, and heroism were demonstrated in a time of crisis, and whereas Hiroko Swader was able to secure a safe location for a person in distress, Terry, and perform CPR until fire and EMS personnel arrived on the scene. And whereas Hiroko Swader was able to help save the life of a resident of the city of Jefferson, and whereas the city of Jefferson and its people are thankful for the bravery and determination of Hiroko Swader and her positive impact to the community, now therefore I, Carrie Turgeon, Mayor of the city of Jefferson, ask the staff and residents to join me on this 21st day of November in honoring the steadfast contribution of Hiroko Swader for her outstanding heroism and humanity in the service of the betterment of the city of Jefferson, Missouri. And all that being said, I also think that this is a good reminder that all of us should do our part and learn what we can to help others. And I hope that, I know for me, I think it's somewhat of a wake-up call that we may have opportunities as council members and mayor that we could learn. Maybe you could teach us, or we could have a chief get some maybe some instruction that we could share with council. And I'm sure several council members already know some of those life-saving techniques, but maybe we can utilize that sometime that we could learn. We have David, retired Red Cross, maybe I could put that on Chief to help organize something for us, and then we could share that more publicly.
Absolutely happy to do that. And I would just remind folks that we have an initiative within the city to put AEDs in all of our facilities, and we have that here at City Hall and all the other City Hall campus facilities, as well as throughout the city. We're working with parks to put AEDs in parks, and that is partially funded through NPR credits through our risk management provider. So we also offer training, as does Cole County EMS. If you can get on their website and request training for your organization or agency, as does the Red Cross, have many options. So there's really no reason to not get training. We would encourage everybody to do that and then to be ready to put that training into action, like we've seen a great example today.
Absolutely. That's a great reminder to do that. So we appreciate the lasting impact that you'll have with this. And I look forward to seeing you out and about in the community riding bikes, and I can attest to that because I've seen you out there doing that on our community rides, and I had no idea of all the other things that you have done and accomplished, so you're quite an inspiration. And then also, Naomi, thank you for coming from New York and making the trip down, and I thought, oh, how great, the weather's perfect here, but it really didn't dawn on me where you came from, so glad you got that last flight out.
Much better here.
Yeah, you should enjoy it, enjoy the nice weather here. So, and happy to have your granddaughter here as well. So, welcome to having Eleanor here. So, hello, welcome to City Hall. So, does council have anything to add before we take some pictures? Okay, so with that, if you all would like to come forward, we'll have the family, and then we'll do like the firefighters, and then we'll do family and friends and everybody. So we'll get a few pictures. I'll have Gail take some photos here for us. And also, we'd like Terry and Carolyn to come up as well. We'd love to have them come up too. Thank you.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, somehow we're gonna have to squeeze in, guys. Or we're not, yeah. Keep going.
Well, that was exciting. That was unlike anything we've had here. That was quite a great, heartfelt story, and very appreciative. And now we also have Jefferson City Fire Department again. Great recognition. So we have firefighters Clint Kimker, Michael Bainbridge, and Luke Owen recognized for Tunnel to Towers fastest firehouse again. And we're glad to have Chief Schofield and Roxy Van Poel with us to give us an update. So this is another honor. So let us know all the details.
All right. Well, thank you, Carrie, and to the council. So we had our 7th annual Tunnel to Towers 5K on September 17th. I'm already looking forward to next year. On September 17th this year, we had 219 registered participants. That's a little lower than last year, but still a great number. We're very proud of the way that we've been able to build the attendance each year at our event. We have about 20 plus volunteers that help us every year with the preparation as well as day of the event. And of course, we have the Thomas Jefferson Sea Cadets that add to that number, and they help us also each year. I want to tell you a little bit about Tunnel to Towers. I think many of you know about that foundation. I've seen you here each year before, but it is a 9/11 foundation that was started after the tragedy of September 11th in New York City and Washington, D.C. and Pennsylvania. And what we do each year is honor not only the memory of those who perished on 9/11, but thank our local first responders for all that they do to support us and protect us every day of the year. Can't read my notes for the microphone. I want to mention that we have, this month in November alone, Tunnel to Towers has announced that they're paying off the mortgage for 21 fallen first responder families and Gold Star families. Now that's in addition to the hundreds that they have paid for in the past years. In addition to that, U.S. Army Sergeant Joseph Stifter from Peculiar, Missouri is one of those fallen veterans or military personnel whose family, Gold Star family, is having their mortgage paid. So once again, Tunnel to Towers is bringing some of their funding and their benefits to the state of Missouri. And I always think that's important for us to know and to remember. Last December, as I'm sure all of you know, Bryant Gladney was killed on I-70, and his family did receive the payment of their mortgage this year also by Tunnel to Towers. We have a number of programs: the Smart Home program for our catastrophically injured veterans, the Fallen First Responder program, which I mentioned, the Gold Star Family program, and this year we've also started a veterans homelessness program. There's a homeless village that's being opened in Florida this year where small homes are being built for veterans to live independently, and that will get many of them off the streets, especially in a southern state where many of them don't have housing and live on the street. And then also a Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute. This is a curriculum that schools can sign up for to teach their students about the happenings of 9/11, what led up to 9/11, and what has happened since then. And I think it's very important. I'd love to see it come to Jefferson City where we can see the legacy live on of those that sacrificed so much for us that day and following 9/11. So today, and I have a few different names for you, but the Fastest Firehouse team from Jefferson City Fire Department, made up of Clint Kemker, who is also our fastest firefighter, Ryan Back, Luke Owens, and Alec Elvins, are here today to receive. Oh, there it is, right there. Okay. Our Fastest Firehouse Award. This is a traveling trophy. I'm very proud to say that Jefferson City has received it all but 1 year, so that's really great. I'd also like to recognize that Michael Bainbridge and Clint Kemker have stepped up as co-directors for our event. Kind of what just happened, the presentation of the acknowledgement of the life-saving events. You know, when you start getting older and you're retired, you realize you're not going to be around forever. And I don't want to see Tunnel to Towers in Jefferson City go away. So Michael and Clint have stepped up to start taking on the reins, and they're going to play a bigger role so that we know that this program will continue on, no matter what happens. Also, we have an award for the most participants that we award to a department. This can be fire, police, or military. In the case of this year, the Jefferson City Fire Department did have the most participants, so we also have awarded that award to them.
Wow.
Okay.
Congratulations, and that is fantastic. Chief, did you have something to add?
Not much I can add to that, only just thank you so much to Roxy for all your work, and thank you to the mayor for your support. Many, many years you've helped us out with this, and the community in general. So very proud of these guys. But again, I would say it's not just for firefighters. We would always challenge our friends in blue to come take this award from us next year, or even the fastest firehouse. I'm sure we could work out something for gear. But it is a great event, and they do great work. So thank you for your support.
Absolutely, and I know, Roxy, you've been doing this for years, and I'm so glad that Michael and Clint, that you are taking this on to keep it going for the future, and we are so proud. I know you were away from the mic when you said that Jefferson City Fire Department has won the fastest firehouse all but 1 year. So I want to just reiterate that so that that's heard, because that's fantastic, and just the amount of participation. We're so very proud to have you all doing what you do outside of just your regular day-to-day jobs that you do that are so great for Jefferson City and keeping our community safe. You do these extra things that really mean a lot, and it's such a great cause. So encourage everybody to get involved in that if they aren't already. Is there any questions from council, any comments? Well, with that, we would invite council up here and all of you up to get a photo with that trophy. We're glad to have it here again. Thank you.
We do have a couple of volunteers, too.
Sure.
Yeah,
If you would like to recognize them, absolutely.
It's Les and Francine Campen, and they are new volunteers this year, but very, very much instrumental in helping us raise funds.
Scoot all the way back to the thing, and then as much as you guys can squeeze in, that'd be great. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Hang on. That's quite gonna go that way. Okay.
Those are some great recognitions for tonight's meeting. Item 5, public hearings. We have bill pending 2022-74.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending a PUD plan amendment for property located at 2216 Stonehill Road.
Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Get the PowerPoint going here. This is the incorrect PowerPoint. This is a PUD amendment. It is classified as a major amendment just due to the fact that it's a change in use. While it is classified as a major amendment, it actually is quite simple. Yeah, let me just, if I may. Apologies, but I do like to show the map, or else I would have just continued. This is a major plan unit development amendment due to change in use. The property is a PUD out here off of Stonehill Road, just a little bit south of Millbrook. That whole area is a plan unit development. Over to the west is single family and attached family, getting a little bit denser as you go further out. There's the property itself. The whole building is the daycare right now. And what they plan to do is actually include a marketplace and a coffee shop inside of that. The use is inside the building, and there's nothing triggered outside the building. No site requirements, no change in stormwater, no parking requirements are triggered or anything like that. So it really is just the use inside the building. There's a landscape picture of it there. So these applicants used to have 2 separate businesses, and now they just have the daycare. We all know the pandemic had impact on businesses, and their other business was a coffee shop. So they actually have it set up there. They're not using it, but they do plan to offer coffee to parents dropping off their children, and perhaps some in the evening or on weekends. With that, I'd like to wrap up with going from a PUD to an additional use. We also are adding in, we don't do this all the time when appropriate, it is suggested to the Planning and Zoning Commission, but since these cases come to the City Council for, let's say, major uses, we are also putting in an underlying zoning, basically a C1, our neighborhood commercial, so that if they did want to do something else that is very compatible inside that zoning, they could. So it's a method to possibly reduce future PUD amendments by going ahead and putting in a whole zoning layer that they can use, add additional uses. We've been doing that with requiring signage based on a certain zoning district, or requiring lighting or other issues. It's just this is going to hopefully speed up the process if perhaps they decided they wanted some other use that is compatible with the C1 zoning. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, at this time we will open up the public hearing for Bill 2022-74. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this bill tonight? Okay, seeing none, we will close the, or would you like to, or come and just introduce, sure, welcome. Yeah, thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, we apologize. Her mom just passed away from a massive heart attack not so long ago, and that whole thing kind of, you know, so we're glad and
So
everything
sorry.
worked out, but we've been kind of going through it.
So we've owned, we actually just purchased this property back on October the 3rd, but I've been in childcare for 15 years. We owned a coffee shop during the pandemic, and due to the pandemic we closed, and we moved all of the equipment into the one building, and just due to lack of staff and other things because of the pandemic, we'd like to open the coffee shop as well.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
do
you
you guys
have
have
our thoughts are with you, and
Thank you.
appreciate you coming tonight and coming to the podium and talking about this project. Is there any questions? Councilman Spencer?
Not any questions. I just want to say thank you for making the investment in that area, and I really appreciate our staff working together with you and trying to accommodate what your vision is. And I know with the pandemic, those challenges that business owners have faced, and especially we're really appreciative of daycare facilities as well in our community. So again, thank you for your commitment in this. So good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Very well said, Councilman Spencer. Any other comments? Okay. Well, we appreciate you being here this evening. And is there anyone else that would like to speak on Bill 2022-74? Okay. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing portion and take up the bill at this time, 2022-74. Do you need to read it again? No, we've read it. Okay. So any further deliberation or discussion on the bill? Roll call, please.
Deacon,
Aye.
Fitzwater, Hensley,
Aye.
Kimna,
Aye.
Lester,
Aye.
Schreiber,
Aye.
Spencer,
Aye.
Spicer,
Aye.
Ward, Wiseman.
Bill passes. So thank you again for being here. Congratulations, and we're looking forward to that. Congratulations. Much needed. Thank you. Item 6, appointments by the mayor. Mrs. Strope.
Thank you. First recommended appointment is to the Cemetery Resources Board, and that's Dana DeWeese. To the Environmental Quality Commission is Mackenzie Walker and Todd Higgins. To the Housing Authority Board is Dennis Miller. And to Planning and Zoning Commission is Trika Young, Hank Voigt, Tom Wardenhouse, and Randy Hosselton.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve? Yes. Sure.
So, I think I've asked some questions pertaining to the process of how these names are brought forward, but who vets the potential candidates as far as, and I'm not sure there are requirements, but I would think that there should be some requirements of making sure our citizens are in good standing as far as with any fines or fees or taxes that are imposed on folks. So, do we do that kind of background check on those applicants?
We do not do that kind of background check, no.
Is there a reason why we wouldn't want to try to come up with something like that? I mean, it is a requirement of elected officials to be in good standing, and these boards and commissions are vital and important, and I think they should have at least some kind of standard as well. So, just a question, and maybe there's something that could be worked on in the future, possibly.
Yeah,
So,
we could absolutely talk more about it.
thank
Yeah.
you.
So the best thing would probably be to make a request to Councilwoman Wiseman as the chair of the administration committee and see if she would like to put that on an agenda. Mrs. Strobe, would that be the best course of action?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Sure. Or I guess, I don't know if either you would, or if Councilman Spencer would make that call to Mrs. Councilwoman Wiseman. Okay. Any other discussion on the slate, on the motion? Or, wait, we haven't had the motion yet.
I would move to approve the appointments.
Thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And while we're on this topic, we do have some people here that are current board and commission members. So Mr. Mealy does serve on EQC currently. So you're not up tonight, but you're a current serving member and maybe the chair, I believe, right? Yeah, the chair of EQC, so we appreciate that. And are you here for the planning and zoning? So would you care to come up to the podium just real quick, since you've already been approved, but I was impressed. I met you when you came into City Hall, and if you want to, we'll put you on the spot and just tell us, because you had some good background, and you were here at the last council meeting as well. And it's great to have our citizens involved, and you had some extensive background in planning and zoning. And so while you're here, we'll like to have the council get to know who you are.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Council. I am Randy William Hazelton. I serve in the National Guard here in Jefferson City with ISTS. And I've always had a policy of giving back to the community where I've lived, be it through the American Legion or serving in the city. When I first started getting involved, I was inspired by Phil Amato, who's my mentor and now currently a state rep for District 113. He just got elected, so congrats to him. But he inspired me to start contributing to my community. And so then I started getting involved with the City of Arnold, and that was my first taste of planning and zoning and their Board of Adjustment, and we even founded the Veterans Commission there. So, and then I moved to Neosho per the needs of the Army, and so I decided to continue the process of getting involved, and I was on planning and zoning there as well, and I got involved with the Legion and was commander of that post for 2 years. So here in Jefferson City, I took a year to cool my heels and get my bearings, and I decided to step forward and put my name forth and be involved in any way or opportunity that was available. So I, by coincidence, ran into Mayor Turgan here, and she went ahead and accepted my application graciously, and I'm glad to be able to serve this community. This is an awesome honor to be able to do this. So I look forward to serving the next, it will be the next term, right?
I believe you'll start at the next month. Is that correct, Mrs. Strope? And so they'll email you, would it be the January meeting or December if they meet?
It'd be December meeting if they meet in December, yeah.
All right.
Yes. So you're approved now. You're official. So you'll be getting that information. And Mr. Hazelton, I know that your resume is very impressive. Your list of, like you summarized, and you have a lot of extensive experience in this area. So we welcome you on our Planning and Zoning Commission as well. And this way, council members get a chance to get to know who you are. And Councilman Deacon was also most recently on Planning and Zoning as well. So we'll look forward to getting your feedback on there as well. Any questions for Mr. Hazelton? Okay, and thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to serve the city.
Put you on the spot there, but thanks for coming up and telling us a little about yourself. We appreciate that. That's great. We appreciate our citizens, and having both of you here is great. Presentations from staff, consultants, invited guests. Item A is Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 3 years ago, we came to the City Council. Let me back up a little bit about the 408 Lafayette first. The city incorporated this property into our neighborhood stabilization program back in the day with hopes of converting it back into a useful multifamily house. We've been successful in doing that to a couple of them. This one, the flood maps changed before we got done, and it actually ended up being in the floodplain. You can see right there, part of the roof line is in there. So that basically nixed the project of using federal funds for rehabilitation. Unfortunately, we had already put $78,000 into it for acquisition and roofing and some other minor things to help button it up. In 2018-19, we had gone through the discussion process of trying to surplus it. It has been declared surplus. It's been declared dangerous twice. The second time was for a specific purpose of seeking relief on this grant money that we'd spent. We did communicate with the Department of Economic Development, which is our liaison for the CDBG project, and we weren't able to get the money forgiven that we put into it, but we were able to take the money out through council's approval of issuing a check back to DED. They took those funds and allotted them back into a program for us, of which we're going to be using to demolish 2 of the structures up on Jackson Street, 108 and 104 Jackson. So that money basically just sort of got repurposed. The federal ties are no longer in this property. The city also owns 410, 623. Those are owned by the Parks Department. Basically where we are is and there's probably more than 3 options. These are just the staff options. One is do nothing, just secure the building like we have been. I don't think anybody really cares for that. The second option is try to get it redeveloped. There are some hurdles. It's in a floodplain, it's in a historic area, and you do have to bring it up to new building codes. That restoring it to residential will be very difficult with that 50% rule. So whatever, and I'm going to make a guess here, the value of the property would logically be what it was purchased for by somebody. If we do surplus it and sell it, they would have 10 years and they can only spend 50% of that purchase price for updating and repairs to that structure. Now that's the high level way the program works. Matt and the stormwater folks can go more into how that works too. The third option, I recall the Parks Department was waiting to see what the council was going to do for 408 Lafayette before they decide what to do with their 2 properties, the 623 School Street and 410 Lafayette. So staff is recommending that option. It would wash, the federal tie has been washed off of it. It can be redeveloped for green space, open space, or other sort of activities, most likely through the Parks Department. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Sanders? Councilman Spencer and then Councilwoman Ward.
So if we transfer to parks for green space, we would not have any more funds that would be allocated for it. Or would we try to work with parks, and if Mr. Spalding wants to answer as well, is your intent to maybe tear down the other 2 possibly for the green space? And
Yeah, we would just look at what the best solutions would be. If that's tearing it down, if that area would be turned into green space, then we just kind of have to look at those things and decide.
Okay, so we would just transfer the property to Parks, and then they would dispose of it as they wish.
Yes, I don't think any sort of legal action has to be done in terms of the title. Mr. Molman could address that.
No, essentially it could just be assigned to Parks. The one caveat to all that is any transfer of Parks property has to be approved by both the commission and the city council. So outside of the city. So your statement that Park could dispose of it as its wish is not accurate as to disposal outside the city system. So if they was a buyer, sold it to someone else, both the Parks Commission and the City Council would have to approve that. So just a small caveat.
Sure. Okay. And how soon could that be taken care of?
I think the transfer, essentially it's an assignment into Parks custody, could happen tonight on a motion. I mean, it's nothing formal. It's more of a internal accounting more than anything.
I would submit a motion to transfer the property to the Parks Department and for them to handle it as, again, with that cooperative arrangement. So, thank you.
So we have a motion. I know Councilwoman Ward also had her hand up, so, but we have a motion, so is there a second? Okay, and I know we need further discussion on the motion, but I'd like to follow up with Councilwoman Ward, who had her hand up too. Thanks.
Yes, I would like some more information before we jump to transferring it. Could you provide a breakdown history of what we have done to offer this for sale yet? I mean, I know we have directed staff to do that, but now we're not looking at owing that $78,000 anymore, so we don't have like a number we're having to, cover.
No, that is correct. The money has been paid back. $78,000 was paid
Correct.
back, and so there's no
Commitment.
no commitment at all. There's no federal ties. There's only what's in the code, floodplain, historic district, building code, things like that. But there's no other strings attached.
So it may be easier to sell now that we don't need a higher price tag on it. And did we offer it actually for sale through a realtor yet?
I do not believe we offered it through a realtor last time either, but we did get an offer on it. I believe one offer that was not accepted by the council. I believe it was $15,000.
15, okay, so we did have an offer before. Didn't accept it because we had 78 wrapped up into it. Okay, and could you give me a little bit of history or what's currently going on in that neighborhood? What does that block look like? Are there residential homes next to this that are still, have people living in them? And is there any improvements happening? I know there's improvements to a historic home across the street from this. They're doing a fantastic job. I mean, I just don't want to affect that area as a neighborhood, if that's what they want to continue to be, and affect those property owners' investments with, once we start the domino effect of tearing things down. I mean, I understand we're looking at this plan that we approved, was it decades ago, the East Side plan?
Actually, it's Activate Jefferson City 2040 is the most up-to-date comprehensive plan that shows that. And it's not just so much this area. In general, in the floodplain, it's a best practice not to develop in there, and the floodplain.
Oh, I
so
understand that,
yeah.
but also FEMA came overhead and did a swipe, making that floodplain wider, which that area, it's my understanding, didn't flood in 95 or 99. So anyway, I just want to make sure we have all the information on that neighborhood, so we're not.
I don't have an inventory in my head. I do know there was a person that was able to go under the 50% rule on School Street, a little renovation there. I know There's 2 houses at the end of School Street that someone has been doing some, let's just assume it's minor demo. We don't know what's going on with that, but we'd assume it's in preparation for a building permit coming in with renovating those. I don't know who they are. I don't walk in that neighborhood anymore. I used to quite frequently until recently. I really don't have an inventory of who is living in the houses and that. Yeah.
Are they vacant?
I mean, we could look at, I don't know, the sewer bill is the bill, and the water bill we might be able to look at, determine if they're drawing utilities. Don't have a good handle on the inventory. Haven't done door knocking and a census necessarily.
The immediate inventory, I had the staff pull the kind of map back up. So Parks owns 623 and 410. And then Sonny, correct me if I'm wrong, but that one is a fire burn and is currently down. So that's kind of the status of the immediately surrounding properties. Is 2 of them are owned by Parks, and the one just to the other side is down. So that's the current status.
Councilman Deacon?
So just for clarification, the 50% rule means if you buy it for $20,000, you can only put in $10,000 to rehab it, correct? Is that the impediment to redevelopment?
I think you can go a couple different ways to figure out the price of it. You get a new appraisal. You could go with a county assessor type appraisal. But if I'm recalling the correct structure, I think I am. The main issue here is the elevation of the first floor of these houses, and so I think they're about a foot into the floodplain, so they'd have to be raised some, and that's a pretty big deal in most cases. The 50% rule, the 50% rule is outside the banking industry in some fashion, where if you were to go get a loan on this, it'd be very difficult to do. And so a bank loan, a federally insured loan, bank loan. And so that, it ties people's hands a lot. So anyway, that's the short version.
I would be a little concerned about maybe taking action tonight, only because the last time there was some interest. I know the church had an interest at the time, but there are different guidelines now where that money doesn't have to be paid back. So to Councilman Ward's point, perhaps I would hate to almost act tonight when the agenda simply says update, although it's up to council, but I know that giving till the next council meeting could allow, if there is interest, that, and I don't know how we would want to do that, if it would be putting it on the agenda again for action instead of update, perhaps, taking action on that. But it's up to council, and there is a motion and second on the table. Councilman Hensley?
Thank you. And to your last point, I'd agree. I don't necessarily have a problem with the proposed solution. It's just sort of the timing of it. There's a lot of interest generally in that intersection, in that general neighborhood. So I'm sure folks would, if we were to take action tonight, as is being proposed, I'm sure we'd get some feedback on that, and it might be too late at that point or not. I'm just curious, how did Parks acquire the other 2 properties right there? Do we know?
I don't. I can find that out for you. I don't know if that was before my time or not. I just can't remember.
I think they may have been donated.
Okay.
That is ringing a bell for me.
Because they were in too bad a shape.
Yeah. We can go back and double check that, but I'm pretty sure that those were both donations to the parks.
Great. Yeah, it was just curiosity. And again, yeah, I'll be, if this goes to a vote tonight, I'll be a no tonight, but that doesn't mean I'll be opposed to it after the public has a little bit of notice on it. Thanks.
Okay. And then maybe to clarify, which might give council some ease in if they did wait to take action next time, is there anything, they're not declared dangerous, so this isn't like a situation where, there's no rush that 2 weeks would make a difference?
The structure is not in risk of falling down on any other structures or anything like that. The dangerous definition sometimes is intertwined with the term uninhabitable also. It can be dangerous without being, and still be, not structurally unsound. It could be like human waste in the basement or something to have it be dangerous. It doesn't have to be structurally dangerous. It could be dangerous in another reason.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Ward and then Spencer.
And I'd like to add to that too, the 50% rule, as our ordinance is written, also makes it dangerous. There could be nothing else wrong with it other than it needs updated wiring, which would cost 50% of its value, so our ordinance calls it dangerous.
Councilman Spencer?
Yeah, I will withdraw my motion on that process for tonight.
And so we've had the motion withdrawn, and was the second from, who made the second? Oh, I'm sorry. The second withdraw as well? Okay. So do you have clear direction then for the next meeting to put on there, maybe in the same item, but to put instead of update, the action? Does that suffice for council? And Councilman Spencer, with your motion, does that sound
Yeah,
okay?
I would just like to get a process rolling on this, and if we, you know, if there's any interest in the public, you know, they should go through the same process of what we've already got out there now, you know, financial commitment, timeline, what the intent is, but I thought we were kind of beyond that, but my misunderstanding on that.
Mr. Sanders?
If there's other information about the property, certainly I don't want you to rush into that. So if there is more information that we can gather before December 5th or, you know, whenever we can, we'd be glad to do that. We just need to know what it is. And going into the holiday, and we've got lots of vacations scheduled, whatnot like that, I would request if we do get some information request and we can't get the information together before the agenda time, if it'd be okay if we put this on a meeting, on the second meeting in December if possible.
I don't see any issue.
Yeah, and I haven't heard from anyone or haven't received any interest, but I just didn't realize, you know, we were having an action, you know, taken on it tonight. So I just, like Councilman Hensley stated, I just don't want to make a move on it and then, you know, the backlash of
Certainly, and
the
I was
public
probably a little
didn't know.
presumptuous on that, but I know where we left off. I had been reviewing where we were and whatnot like
Right,
that.
right.
And, but certainly let me know.
Okay, thanks.
So if council members don't receive any feedback, then perhaps it would be appropriate at the next meeting, so be maybe as prepared as possible, and if not, then certainly let us know. We don't want to put pressure on staff knowing the holiday, Thanksgiving, a couple less days to actually get information. So, okay. Anything else on that item? Thank you for the update. Item 8, announcements by mayor, council, and staff. Our 4 standing committees are found at jeffersoncitymo.gov. And we'll ask for an update from, well, let's see, Councilwoman Wiseman is not here. Councilwoman Ward, do you have anything on administration at this time?
I do not. Let me see if I can very quickly tell you what our next date is. And I think we may have canceled actually for December. Have we? Is December 7th, tentatively at 7:30.
Okay. December 7th, the regular Wednesday meeting schedule. Okay, great. Item 2, Councilman Hensley, Finance.
Thank you. I'm sure everyone will be disappointed. We will not be meeting this Thursday as scheduled.
Okay.
Look for future times on your calendar.
Okay. Public Safety, Councilman Mark Schreiber.
Yes, Madam Mayor. We will be meeting the last Thursday of December, which I believe is the 29th, and that will be at 7:30 a.m. in the police training room. Thank you.
Okay, and Public Works and Planning, Councilman Fitzwater, if you can hear us, to pipe in. Let's see, you might be on mute. Okay. So Councilman Fitzwater is having, okay. Mr. Marash, do you know when the next meeting date is for Public Works?
I have to look at my calendar to make sure here. I believe it's the 8th of December.
Okay, December 8th is what I show on here as well. 7:30 a.m. in council chambers. Okay. I will give a few announcements at this time, so I'm going to go through a few things. Let's let's see here. So November 30th, which is a Wednesday night, 2 weeks from now, less than that, actually a week, next Wednesday, not, where are we at now? It's coming up fast. We have the Special Olympics Power Hour Plunge. I am going to pass around flyers here on either side. And actually, there's my buckets. Mr. Molman, could you grab the buckets for me and just kind of pass them back up here to me? So, thank you. If anybody wants to drop any money in the buckets, I have, of course, Team City here, Team Turgeon, and then Team, what did he call themselves? Wheelers, Warriors, or something. He made up a name for his team. So there's Wheeler and Turgeon, City and County. So we really want to outsmart Wheeler's team this year, but it's all for Special Olympics, so it's all good. So we will be running through the freezing cold sprinklers on Madison Street, downtown, on Wednesday, November 30th at 5 p.m. So we welcome anyone else to join us if you want to get to plunge through the freezing cold hazmat sprinklers, not just once, but twice. You're welcome to sign up. We set a goal of $500 for each plunger, but you certainly, anything is appreciated, even if it's more or less than that. We'll take anything, and usually we'll dress up and have fun. So I know in the past that Chief Schofield has gone through that with us before in your gear. So anything to add?
I would just say that my price has gone up. I'm an alumni, so it's going to cost the council $1,000, and then I'll wear whatever they want me to wear.
Okay, I heard it right there. $1,000, and Chief Schofield will wear anything. Everybody's reaching for their wallet. So, okay, anything you put in here goes to Schofield tonight. Okay, so the challenge accepted. All right, let's see if we can make that happen. $1,000. Yeah, that's a good strategy. So it's all for Special Olympics. So please do either give or come up and watch or be a plunger yourself. We do have Adam Lukanoff from Jeff City Police Department doing that. So thanks to Adam, he does that every year. In fact, Adam tonight is on top of Chick-fil-A raising money for Special Olympics for the plunge in February. So certainly on your way home, go by there and put some money in his bucket. A few other things. So that kind of kicks off all the holiday week. That Wednesday is the Polar Plunge for us. Thursday night is the mayor's tree lighting, and that will be at Rotary Centennial Park every year. Katrina is going to touch on a little bit of that on item B, because I will actually be riding the bike from City Hall to the mayor's tree lighting this year. So anybody can join us. We're doing kind of a mini community bike ride as part of the active transportation plan. And if you don't want to bike and you just want to walk, we do have a group that is just set up as of today. They're setting up a walk from the downtown area to the mayor's tree lighting. So we're going to really take this active transportation plan seriously and make that happen. The next night is Friday, December 2nd, is Living Windows. So Katrina will touch on what we're doing for that. And then Saturday, December 3rd, is the Christmas parade for the Jaycees. I know Councilwoman Wiseman is working on that. So mark your calendars for all those upcoming announcements. I will mention a couple things that we've done since our last meeting. On Saturday the 19th, we had a community hike out at Binder, and that was the first community hike they've had. They've done the community bike ride, so that was fun to get out to Binder, even though it was in about 32 degrees. It was still worth it. And that night, I was able to welcome and give a speech to the Naval Sea Cadet Banquet at the Ike Skelton Training Center, and always get an opportunity to thank our military. With that, does council have any announcements this evening? Okay, we'll turn it over to Katrina Williams to give us the Capital Area Active Transportation Plan and our walk audits. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Oh, that still doesn't work. Thank you. All of this information is already in your packet, so I won't go into great detail on it, but we're entering our second round of public engagement with our active transportation plan, and that plan is going to be updating our Greenway plan and sidewalk plan and our Campo bike ped plan, Holt Summits bike ped plan as well. So we have a public meeting Thursday, December 1st, 4:30 to 6 in this room, and we're going to be doing a walk up to the mayor's tree lighting at 6. So we're hoping people will come for our public meeting and then go on that walk or bike ride up to see the tree lit up. We also have walk audits during that time. So that's a time when you all or the general public or other stakeholders can get together with our consultants and staff and walk around a small area and look at bike ped infrastructure and things that we could do a little bit better, why we're designing them that way, why they've been put in that way, maybe standards that could change in our community that have been implemented in other places. So it's a really good opportunity for you all to be on the ground with other stakeholders in the community and look at that infrastructure. Those walk audits, there's 3 of them. They're all going to be in the same place. They're a repeat each time. That information's in your packet. But it'll be just a small 6-block area of the Southside Old Munichburg neighborhood. One's on December 1st and the other 2 are on the 2nd. And then the evening of December 2nd, as the mayor talked about, we're going to have an outreach booth at Living Windows. Hopefully it doesn't rain. I was just checking the weather forecast and I really hope it doesn't. But we're going to be outside of Central Bank and trying to do some outreach with some folks. We're going to have a cool bike set up that actually Central Maintenance and Public Works has helped us with. So I hope everyone will participate however they'd like.
Thank you, Katrina. Any questions for Mrs. Williams? All right, well, hopefully we will all come out to those festivities or participate in those public meetings. So thank you. Item 9, Lincoln University. Octavia is on Christmas break right now. So, oh gosh. See, we're talking about Christmas. I'm like, wait, I already just skipped over Thanksgiving. She's on, all right, Thanksgiving break. Item 10, presentations from the gallery. We don't have anyone signed up this evening. Item 11, consent agenda. Is there a motion to, I believe, take up item A, C, and D at this time?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? A motion passes for A, C, and D. And item B, Councilman Spencer would like to take up separately, so I'll turn it over to Councilman Spencer.
Thank you. I just have a few questions for Director Spalding. It was reported in the paper about the contract request amount. Why is there such a variance, a wide range of requests for between 500,000 and 1.2 million?
Well, I think that was just put in from, I think that was just the range of what it could be. The council is just being asked to approve using the sole source of American Ramp Company, a Missouri-based company that does these types of parks, bike parks and skate parks all over the world. They had been pre-bid along with a couple other companies, and the staff felt they would be the best. And because it's a Sourcewell cooperative purchase, it needed to be approved by you. So it's a design build type of thing. Skate parks and bike parks are all very different. And so you choose a company, enter into a design agreement without bidding it, and then you go into the build. We have currently budgeted around $200,000 for skate park improvements and $500,000 plus for bike parks. So if the design comes back on the bike park, that's kind of the wild card. It could be anywhere, depending on what we have in our budget, to spend $500 to $1.2 million. That was just a range. All of the things, when we get to that point, will have to go through the bid process and approval process at that point. But this is simply to use American Ramp Company to do the design.
Do you have the funds for the 1.2 million?
We do. Currently just earmarked, we have a lot of projects. We're thinking that if we can put off maybe some other projects that aren't ready, we could spend a little more than currently the $500,000 that we have set aside for the bike park.
And where's those funds coming from?
Our capital and our savings and our fund balance. Yep.
So a question is on procedure. Why do you not require a project number so that these funds can be tracked like all our other city department directors do as far as when they do a project or specify or request an amount from?
We follow, I believe, all the same guidelines. I'm not sure I understand for project numbers.
Well, but is there a technical term that maybe I'm looking for as far as having a specific line item in the budget that it can be tracked?
Are you talking about a specific general ledger account?
Yes, that's what I would be, yeah. Isn't that a normal?
So we have some departments, I'll use Public Works as an example, they may have a generic overarching account, stormwater improvements, and when they go through the project, they may create separate individual general ledger accounts for each of those stormwater projects so that they have a project-specific general ledger account number. I don't know that we do that with parks necessarily. They use more of their broad accounts to track those funds.
Would that be something you'd consider?
Absolutely.
I think it's a consistent process and
Sure.
and
Yeah,
procedure to
I had,
follow.
normally when we go through the same, all of the same guidelines, I just, I figured we used the same sort of processes that other city departments. So I'm happy to do whatever I'm asked to do in that, for sure.
And again, I think it goes back to some previous projects too. This body's if we're charged with allocating the funds, it would just be nice to have, some background information, whether that's construction plans or design details, just the information that like you present to the commission, or maybe on an abbreviated version, of course, but, it's just in our packet, you fail to provide any kind of summary of the request or background information or a financial impact assessment. So I just think we as a council deserve that information, if you will, so that we can, cast an informed vote.
Mrs. Perry?
But I think to Director Spalding's point, this is to approve Sourcewell as the contract, a cooperative procurement contract. It's not to approve a bid or anything like that at this point because it has not been bid, correct?
Correct. I provided what I thought was what I was asked to provide for a sole source approval. That was it. So I'm happy to provide any of the plans. And like I said, we're in the very early stages of this. So whenever those documents come available, I would certainly provide anything.
I look forward to getting as much of that information because I think it's a vital asset to the public and to that area especially. I mean, it's of course been in decline for a number of years, but and while I have your attention, do you have any plans to update the tennis courts there at Washington Park?
Yes, as part of the Washington Park is, part of our that we budgeted a big number for this year is our next park for improvement. It's what I've always felt like in my years of being here. It's the one that lacks the most, but it also is the one with the most potential. It's right on our greenway. It's in the middle of our community. It has our ice arena and the historic Vivian Field as kind of anchors. Yet it also is as a park, and again, going back to that goal that we have of getting everyone to a park in a 10-minute walk, it has the top 3 population density around that park. Yet there's no play features, right? So that is we have some exciting, really preliminary plans of what we're going to do there for play structures, pickleball, bike park, skate park improvements, as well as the play features and tennis courts. We don't plan to put 7 courts back in. We're going to put 1 or 2. Because that area is prime real estate for the Washington Park area, because that's the area that never floods. And so we want to put a tennis court, maybe 2, play features, shelter, that kind of stuff in there. Bike park will be across the street. Tennis or pickleball be kind of down off of Ohio, kind of. So,
Coach Rowland contacted me with Capital City. He's the girls' tennis coach, and he was saying that the USTA has some available funds potentially, and I told him to maybe contact someone with either yourself or someone within parks.
Yeah,
because I think there's some resources there that might help with that project potentially.
I've had some communication with him. The USTA was partially funded when we did the tennis court improvements on Lafayette Street with Lincoln University too. So I think they were almost $100,000 investment in those. So they are active.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. So is there a motion to approve item B on consent?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 12, bills introduced 2022-78.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri approving a PUD plan amendment for property located at 1716 Four Seasons Drive.
Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This property was one that was damaged in the tornado quite extensively. We thought it was actually a total loss. A new property owner has acquired the building. It is a planned unit development, and once again, it had a narrow use of an office building as its use, and it is considered a major change, thus coming to the council. The use that they are wishing is a gymnasium. So the change to the use is going to be to a C1, the neighborhood commercial, in addition to allowing a gymnasium to be there. They also intend to literally raise the roof 10 feet so that you can do more of the gymnastics. That is the reason for the request. You can see here it is in an island of planned unit development with C2 over to the vast majority of the northwest. You've got some higher density apartments to the south, and then single family over to the east. There is no exterior site plans. As I said, it was the structure that got damaged in the tornado. Certainly the property owner is going to be building a quality building. You can see a rendition there. A question was brought up regarding lighting. He certainly is going to have lighting and all the amenities you would expect to an establishment where you're going to bring your children in the evening. A little bit more detail here. Change of use is a reason. The parking is sufficient. There's no traffic impacts inspected. And with that, I would be glad to answer any questions. The hearing will be December 5th. This is coming out of the Planning and Zoning Commission with a 8-0 passed in favor of a positive recommendation.
Any questions? Okay, thanks for the presentation. Item 2022-79.
Amending the 2022-2023 budget by reclassifying an administrative technician position within the police department to the position of police information clerk within the police department.
Chief Wilde.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As stated, this bill would reclassify a administrative technician position that's currently assigned to our records section to a police information clerk. We feel that that better aligns with what the job duties are in that position. There is no fiscal impact. They are both a level 10, so the pay is consistent among both. It's currently vacant, so we're looking to advertise that at the right level, the right position, and it has passed through the administration committee.
Thank you. Councilman Schreiber.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'd like to request that we suspend the rules on this so we can move forward with reclassification of this position.
We've had a request to suspend the rules, and unless there are any objections, we will take up 2022-79.
Amending the 2022-2023 budget by reclassifying an administrative technician position within the police department to the position of police information clerk within the police department.
Any council discussion or deliberation? Roll call, please.
Fitzwater. Hensley.
Aye.
Kimna.
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Spicer. Ward.
Aye.
Wiseman. Deacon.
Aye.
Bill passes. Unrelated to this, Chief Wilde was the presenter at Breakfast Rotary last Wednesday when Sheriff Wheeler, at the very last minute, was unable to be the guest speaker. You did a fantastic job and were very informative, so thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate all invites to speak to the community, so had a good time.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you doing that. Thanks.
And I was a purse model, let's not forget.
Oh, that's right. I knew there was something else.
Yeah, that'll be
and
the last
Kimna.
time you hear Eric Wilde and model of any sort in the same conversation.
Especially purse model, but definitely. I should have mentioned that how did I forget that during my announcements? So Power of the Purse event where for benefiting United Way, I know they raised several thousands. I mean, these women were paying thousands and thousands for these purses, and I'm sure it had to do with the models, probably. Councilman Kemna, you were part of that as well. You were a model.
Yes, I was. Yeah, actually, I don't know if there's anyone more to say. The purse that I was modeling went for $3,200. So, I mean, it was a lot of fun. There was also an experience that went with the purse. So a lot of these had other things that, and I know it wasn't the central bank lunch that won with that purse that I had. I think it was the purse that got
It
that
was
one.
your personality.
I don't think so.
That's great.
Yeah, it was. So, but yeah, they had Chiefs tickets and some Indy 500. So like they had some nice prizes. So like raised a lot of money for the United Way.
They did.
So.
Well, that was fantastic having both of you there representing the city for United Way. We sure appreciate that. Thank you. 2022-80.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending Section 15-8 Education Plan of the Personnel Policy Manual.
Mrs. Strope.
Thank you. So this amends the Personnel Policy Manual, the tuition reimbursement program. This allows individuals to, instead of the employee to be reimbursed after they complete the class and have paid for the class, to get a student loan for the class and for the city to reimburse the student loan company instead.
Any questions? Okay, 2022-81.
Amending the 2022-2023 budget by reclassifying the golf course superintendent position to a parks resources supervisor and a mechanic position to a construction inspector position within the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Mr. Spalding.
Thank you, Mayor. We'd like to reclassify the golf course superintendent position to a park resources supervisor and the mechanic position to construction inspector. We are just trying to find more creative ways to kind of fill some of our vacancies and some things, and so we think this is the best course to go.
Any questions? All right. Number 13, bills pending, 2022-72.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri establishing election dates in the City of Jefferson, Missouri for the 2023 general municipal election.
Mr. Molman.
Thank you. This bill establishes the deadlines and calendars for the upcoming April 2023 general municipal election. Candidate filing opens on December 6th at 8 a.m. in the morning and will run through 5 p.m. on Tuesday, December 27th.
Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Hensley,
Aye.
Kimna,
Aye.
Lester,
Aye.
Schreiber, Spencer,
Aye.
Spicer, Ward,
Aye.
Wiseman, Deacon,
Aye.
Fitzwater.
Bill passes. 2022-73.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a municipal agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission.
Mr. Marash.
Thank you. As clerk indicated, this would allow MoDOT to reconstruct a piece of street on city right-of-way, Heisinger Road, some ADA improvements going in there.
Any
Questions, discussion? Roll call, please.
Kimna,
Aye.
Lester,
Aye.
Schreiber,
Aye.
Spencer,
Aye.
Spicer, Ward,
Aye.
Wiseman, Deacon,
Aye.
Fitzwater, Hensley.
Aye.
Bill passes. We've taken up 74, 2022-75.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri amending the 2021-2022 budget of the City of Jefferson, Missouri by supplementally appropriating additional funds within the general fund.
Mrs. Perry?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a supplemental appropriation for fiscal year FY22 that ended October 31st. This is an appropriation that would come from the general fund for special litigation expenses, LCRA reimbursement expenses, vehicle and equipment parts and gas for public works, as well as a transit subsidy for gas and parts. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Lester,
Aye.
Schreiber,
Aye.
Spencer,
Aye.
Spicer, Ward,
Aye.
Wiseman, Deacon,
Aye.
Fitzwater, Hensley,
Aye.
Kimna.
Aye.
Bill passes. 2022-76.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri amending the 2021-2022 budget of the City of Jefferson, Missouri by supplementally appropriating additional funds within the general fund, parks fund, parking fund, wastewater fund, and the self-funded health insurance fund.
Mrs. Perry?
Yes, this is a supplemental appropriation In total, the appropriation is $1.2 million that would go into the self-funded health insurance fund. This would be for claims that have occurred so far in FY22. The funds would come from the general fund for a total of $948,328, and the remainder of the funds would come from the parks fund, the parking fund, and the wastewater fund. These are not final numbers. They will continue to accumulate while we're still getting claims from the insurance claims that we have for FY22. So we could be back for additional funds here. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or discussion? Councilman Spencer?
And just for clarification, even though our budget year starts on November 1, the calendar year for claims and insurance, though, doesn't end till December 30th?
It actually ends for us October 31st. The problem that we have is some of the service providers lag behind in getting their claims submitted. And so we will continue to accumulate those claims in FY22 for services rendered up through October 31st. So it just really depends on how long it takes some of those service providers.
So they do coincide?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion, questions? Roll call, please.
Schreiber,
Aye.
Spencer,
Aye.
Spicer, Ward,
Aye.
Wiseman, Deacon,
Aye.
Fitzwater, Hensley,
Aye.
Kimna,
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Looks like he's on, so at least he can hear us, Councilman. Okay. Thank you, Councilman Spicer.
I think we may have Emily maybe touch bases with Ron after.
Yeah, we'll follow up in,
Sometime and just confirm the votes that he's been voting on.
Okay.
yeah. Okay, we'll confirm that with Councilman Fitzwater and get that fixed. Okay, thank you, Councilman Spicer. 2022-77.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending the 2021-2022 budget of the City of Jefferson, Missouri by supplementally appropriating additional funds within the General Fund, Parks Fund, Parking Fund, Wastewater Fund, and the Workers' Compensation Fund.
Mrs. Perry?
Yes, this is a supplemental appropriation, in total $450,000 going into the Workers' Compensation Fund, again for claims on workers' compensation through October 31st of 22. The total for the general fund is $375,007.31. The remainder would be coming from parks, parking, and the wastewater funds, and these are final numbers. We have gotten all of the information through October 31st. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Spencer,
Aye.
Spicer,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Wiseman, Deacon,
Aye.
Fitzwater, Hensley,
Aye.
Kimna,
Aye.
Lester,
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Bill passes. Nothing on the informal. Resolution 2022-36.
A resolution authorizing the city to utilize Federal Transit Administration Section 5304 statewide planning funds.
Mr. Sanders?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is for the Metropolitan Planning Organization. There's an opportunity for another $25,000 in grant assistance for actually a project we'd completed already. But this has been identified as being eligible for being applied towards our active transportation plan, which is already budgeted, already using some of our federal money for MPO planning. But this is a way that we can actually grab that money and use it and still keep the other funds for future planning activities. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. The match has already been identified and it is in the budget from the Parks Department.
Thank you. Any questions or a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Spicer, Ward,
Aye.
Wiseman, Deacon,
Aye.
Fitzwater, Hensley,
Aye.
Kimna,
Aye.
Lester,
Aye.
Schreiber,
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution 22-37.
A resolution of the City of Jefferson, Missouri adopting policies and procedures for the 2023 Community Development Block Grant Program.
Mrs. Stratman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is for the 2023 Policy and Procedure Manual for the Community Development Block Grant Program. And the Community Development Block Grant Program is administered in accordance with federal regulations contained in 24 CFR Part 570 and per Article 4 of Chapter 25 of the City Code. The Policy and Procedures Manual is to be adopted by City Council every year. And the purpose of the Policy and Procedure Manual is to highlight applicable federal regulations. It provides a format to inform citizens, guide staff on proper administrative procedures, and federal compliance requirements, financial and administrative procedures, eligibility and application requirements for homeowner support and demolition programs. This policy and procedure manual is intended to, as guidance for the City of Jefferson CDBG program, and is not meant to be a substitute for federal regulations. This manual will go into effect January 1 and will remain in effect until it is revised to meet changes in federal regulations, actions of the City Council, or to meet administrative needs upon approval. And I just wanted to touch on a couple of things that is coming on the horizon. We are going to be starting our next 5-year consolidated plan, and we will start that next year. And I am actually working on surveys to go out to stakeholders and residential. And there will be public, those are the public outreach opportunities to provide input for the next 5-year plan. And then the next plan that we are working on is the analysis of impediments to fair housing choice, or AI, and I believe the RFP has gone out for a consultant to repair the AI. The city's last AI was completed in 2018, and we are required to submit an AI every 5 years. And with that, I will answer any questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Strautman. Are there any questions? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion or deliberation? Roll call, please.
Ward,
Aye.
Wiseman, Deacon,
Aye.
Fitzwater, Hensley,
Aye.
Kimna,
Aye.
Lester,
Aye.
Schreiber,
Aye.
Spencer,
Aye.
Spicer.
Resolution passes, and thank you for that presentation. Resolution 2238.
A resolution of the City of Jefferson, Missouri approving a special exception use permit to operate an asphalt oil terminal with outdoor operations and storage for property address as 2619 North Shamrock Road.
Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a resolution, and there will be a public hearing in 2 weeks, on December 5th, when I guess the resolution is actually taken up for consideration. It's more of an odd dog that Mr. Molman can probably explain to you a lot better than I can. But we are here because the piece of property outlined in blue and all that in purple is the light industrial zone. There's a desire to do some development there that would require outdoor storage tanks and operations, which is not permitted in the M1 zone. So the property owner, here's a little bit more zoomed in. What they'd like to do is put a transload facility in here in conjunction with Cole County. So Capital Land Investments actually owns this property, and they desire to to work with the county at the transload facility. So all they're asking for now is a change in use to allow outdoor operations and storage. There is a conceptual site plan that goes with this, and you can see there in green is what Capital Land Investments is planning to build, and what's there in that teal is what Cole County is planning to build. This would be a rail transfer station for materials in case of Capital Land Investments, oil, asphalt product. They need a tank to store it in. It's a heated tank, and it has pumping requirements and whatnot. So they will have a facility where they'll be able to access commodities from other sources in an efficient manner and store their materials. Cole County is looking at more than just those materials. They're looking at being able to facilitate anything you can put on rail. So it's a great project. Some of the concept site items I would like to call out, just for your reference, is they are planning to maintain a 100-yard 100-foot buffer area here along Sturzer Road, and then also down here, basically keep the creek the way it is, and also in the natural way it is, in a detention basin down there. This is not the final site plan. This is what they would call a conceptual site plan. I could probably go into more detail about this, but I know this has been in the news quite a bit. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions, discussion? So no action then needed at all this evening, just simply the, no introduction, just the.
Yeah,
no
yeah,
inter-
it's a bit of a quirk of the interaction of state law and our local ordinances. So, yeah, it's a little odd, but this will reappear on the next council agenda for approval.
Okay, does council need anything else on this item? Okay. Item 16, presentations from the gallery on other topics. We don't have anyone signed up. I don't believe there's anyone online that needs to present. If so, speak up now. Okay, item 17, any council and staff discussion of presentation topics? Item 18, any new business? Councilman Spencer.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious. We've been informed as to the council from planning or public transit, about the importance of our public transit system and how much it is somewhat of an economic driver for our community. And I just was wondering why we weren't running buses on Friday. With potentially one of the biggest shopping days we have in our community for local shops and getting to and from their jobs and destinations. So,
Mr. Morash.
Yeah, we have historically always just, whatever the city holidays were, taken those holidays throughout all the departments except for obviously police, fire. But, the ramification there, we'd have to pay overtime, et cetera. So.
maybe for next year, is there a way staff could supply some preliminary numbers of what would that cost and see if it might be, an idea to maybe utilize that services for next year. So, thank you.
Any other new business? Item 19, I need a motion for approval of November 7th, 2022 closed session minutes.
So moved.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Wiseman, Deacon,
Aye.
Fitzwater, Hensley.
Aye.
Kimna,
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Spencer.
Aye.
Spicer. Ward.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 20, any unfinished business? Well, I know it's unfinished. These buckets are empty still. So I'm working on Chief Schofield's $1,000 right here. So anything in here tonight goes in Schofield's bucket towards his 1,000. Anything else? And we don't have Councilwoman Wiseman. So item 21, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. All in favor say aye. And everyone have a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Well.
I got $1.